I'm the Disc Golf Guy with Circle Zero, and I'm joined by none other than our birthday boy, Nico Castro. Nico, how many years has it been?
It's been 28 years today. I'm a survivor.
You are. Well, you're trying to get into the top 8 here at the Disc Golf Pro Tour for the really big money. We played the second round here today of the Green Mountain Championships. Give someone your highlights out there.
I started off pretty hot. I think I had 3 or 4 course birdies in a row, and then I kind of slowed down a little bit, but picked it up through the mid-stretch. I played the par 4s pretty good, and I got a 4 on the par 5. So I was bouncing back, feeling good about my game. Had a couple hiccups here and there. I got some birdies down the stretch, but I ended with a 5. A little bit disappointed in the 5, but I wasn't really letting too many things get to me today. I'm in the beautiful state of Vermont. It's a great time of year to be in Vermont. It's a great time to be playing disc golf, and hopefully put on a show for tomorrow, the next couple days, bring out my best and just have a good mindset going into it.
Well, we're moving back to Brewster Ridge for the final round here for the championship, for the Green Mountain Championships. Just give us a real quick assessment from how open this course is and how much you can really let loose versus what you're going to play in the wooded area tomorrow.
Both courses, they play quite a bit different from each other, but mainly, it's the same focus at every course. You just got to keep your drives clean down the middle, stay away from the OBs, and always give the putts a chance to go in. So I'm feeling good about going into tomorrow. I left quite a few strokes on the table the last 2 rounds, so I'm really hoping I'll just bring out my best tomorrow and make a good run at the lead for the tournament, and put myself in position for this Pro Tour point standings, and get out of here with a good chunk of money.
Well, that's what we're here for. This is Nico Castro. He's looking for that late birthday present coming later this weekend right here at the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next time.
That's right. But first, let's talk about your tournament.
Cut, retake, edits.
I haven't done interviews all weekend. All right.
Roll with it again.
I'm the Disc Golf Guy with Circle Zero, and I'm joined by none other than that.
No, do you want me to start it off this time? No.
And here we go with your FPO highlights from round 2 at Fox Run Meadow. First up, Paige Pierce, taking advantage of the par 4s on the front 9. She would get 3 birdies on the first 9 holes she played today, using her Texas-sized arm to her advantage, setting up for nice short putts like this one on hole 8, cashing a 12-footer for birdie. Cha-ching, nice and easy. Unfortunately for Paige, the story of her round lives in the OB penalties. She would take 9 out-of-bounds strokes today, including her tee shot and her up shot on 13. Then she would throw it long of the pin and leave this just sliding out the tray on the strong side. She sits 8 back from Katrina Allen with 1 round to play at the Green Mountain Championships. Next up is Valerie Jenkins, your 4-time and current world champion. Doesn't have quite the arm that the other 2 ladies in front of her have, but can still get it done. Just missing outside the circle on the long number hole 7. Another outside the circle attempt. Oh, and that was for birdie just off the top nub of the basket. But she's a world champion multiple times for a reason. You give her 3 attempts at the same thing. Outside the circle, inside the chains. Saving the par on hole 10. Valerie Jenkins is 97% inside the C1 circle on the tournament. And finally, your leader, Katrina Allen, shooting a 2 under par, a blistering hot 10-15 rated round by the PDGA. She would also take advantage of the par 4 hole number 4. The most impressive stat about Allen's round today, she would miss 4 putts inside the circle. That 2 could have easily been a 6. Here on hole 10, leaving her drive just a little bit wide. Nice and easy for Threezy. He looks to be in comfortable lead with 1 round to play at Smugglers Notch.
Good morning and welcome to Discraft's Green Mountain Championship here in beautiful Smugglers Notch, Vermont. I'm Robert McCall here with Jamie Thomas this morning. We're going to be bringing you some coverage from our female Pro Open lead card and our men's Pro Open lead card as we finish the final round of this tournament out here today. Jamie, we're back here over on Brewster Ridge, which is a little bit tighter Tell us what we can expect to see today from our competitors.
Well, we're going to look for accuracy. Accuracy is premium out here at Brewster Ridge. The par fours are very gettable even for the ladies on this lead card, which I'll be following, followed by the men's open card, which Robert will be covering. And yeah, accuracy is really the word of the day today.
That's right, and so we saw Ricky Wysocki come in with a hot score of 49 out here a couple days ago. So we're looking to see if somebody can better that today, maybe drop a 47, which would be the new course record, and also see if some of these ladies just absolutely shred this course as well. So we're about to have Jamie Thomas on the call as our Female Pro Open lead card is teeing off. You're watching live disc golf here on Smashbox TV at the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
All right, we are live on the tee.
I don't even know how somebody discovered it. It's super secret. You want me to,
Are you back over? Be back over to me. I'm going to give Jeff Spring the mic for the announcing the ladies.
We are live on the tee for the lead card.
Let me trade you.
We are live on the tee for the lead card of the 2016 Green Mountain Championship presented by Discraft. This is the FPO lead card. Teeing off first, Katrina Allen. Next on the tee, Paige Pierce. Third on the tee, Sarah Hokum. And rounding out our lead FPO card, Val Jenkins. Have a great round.
And good morning, everybody. Again, this is Jamie Thomas, and we are following the FPO lead card. It is a crisp September morning here in Smugglers, Vermont. Bright and early, 8:20 a.m. If anybody's watching on the West Coast, I'm proud of you. We're following a card full of world champions. All four of the ladies on this card today have a world title, at least one world title to their name. And despite a bit of a gap in the scores coming into this round, with accuracy being so crucial out here at Brewster Ridge, we could see some big score swings early, and we could see them late. Just a reminder, you are watching the Green Mountain Championships 2016, part of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And first up to throw from the fairway is Sarah Hokum. Her forehand shot off the tee, catching one of the trees on the narrow fairway before it could widen out towards the green. And with Sarah primarily being a forehand player, will have to straddle out and take the backhand approach. Very well executed right there, using the wet grass to the advantage. She was not afraid to put the disc on edge there, knowing it would probably slide a little bit more rather than roll in the early morning dew here. This will be Valerie Jenkins' second shot from the mouth of the green. Valerie comes into this round having only missed one putt inside the circle all tournament. Would expect that not to change after that approach. And here is Katrina Allen, who currently holds an 8-stroke lead over Paige Pierce. And a good line on that bit, but just a little bit short. Should be an easy tap in 3. And Paige is looking like she's just outside of the C1 circle with an opportunity to get one back early. And just leaves it a little short. She knew immediately out of her hand. While it is still very early in the round, there are plenty of holes to make those strokes up on. Being 8 strokes back, you don't want to let too many of those opportunities slip through your fingertips. Sarah Hokum up and in for 3. And Valerie will match, and we would expect Paige and Kat to do the same, and we'll start out with a par frame for our FPO lead card on hole number 1. And like we were saying, despite the gap in some of the scores between these ladies, there's a lot of OB here. You'll remember from our Thursday broadcast, you'll see a lot of old low stone walls that were part of the colonial era property line separators. And this course has made excellent use of those walls as out-of-bounds markers dividing fairways. So as we play up and down this cross-country ski slopes out here at Brewster Ridge, those walls could come into play. And you may see a bunch of other cards out here today as well. We are playing a shotgun start this morning in order to make room for the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, which will start this afternoon over on the Fox Run Meadows course. As we head up to the tee of hole 2, just a reminder, this is the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, the Green Mountain Championships, all happening at the same place, same time this weekend. We're up in Smugglers, Vermont. We're being taken great care of by Smugglers Notch Resort. We have to thank them. We have to thank Wyndham Properties for putting the media crew up this weekend and giving all the disc golfers a significantly discounted rate out here. And as we approach hole 2, you can see there's a little bit of a backup as the MPO chase card is still waiting to tee on hole number 2, and that's Drew Gibson, Michael Joe, Will Schustrick, and Cam Todd. We'll see if we can bring you guys a little bit of bonus coverage of their drives momentarily when they tee off. This looks like to be Cam Todd on the tee. And we're going to watch the MPO chase card here drive. And as soon as the chase card tees off here, we're going to send it over to Robert McCall, who has the call for the lead card. But first, Drew Gibson. And Drew flips up the hyzer, gets a little kick off the right side of the fairway, but on a very tough par 4 hole 2, you have to watch the rock wall on the right side. And Will Schustrick's release is a little bit high, but he was fortunate to get a kick to the left and into the center of the fairway. He'll have his work cut out for him on this uphill par 4. With the MPO chase card going off, let's send it over to Robert McCall. He's going to tell us a little bit about the men's lead card, how they got here, and wait for them to tee. It's the final round of the Green Mountain Championships at Brewster Ridge.
Thank you, Jamie. We are out here on hole 1 at the Brewster Ridge course. We have a little bit of a backup as some of these holes in the woods are a little bit tight and technical, and so there are a lot of trees to be hit and a lot of trouble to be found. So we are going to wait for just a minute for some of our backups to clear before we tee off here on hole 1. If you're not fortunate enough to be out here in Vermont, let me give you an idea of what we're looking at. Weather's about 58 degrees, a little bit of moisture on the ground, nothing crazy, but because we're in the woods it feels quite a bit colder. I've seen a lot of players with hand warmers and just trying to keep their fingers warm. As you know, if you play disc golf often, if you have cold fingers, it's really, really hard to get a grip on the disc, feel good about your putts, and so we're going to see who can stay warm, who can get a flow going on this course, and who can shred. Like I said earlier, the course record is 48, which is held by Nate Dawson. So we're interested to see if one of our competitors can put down a 47 or a 46. We were talking to Kale Leviska earlier in this tournament, and he said he thought a 44 was out there. And so I'm very interested in seeing if they can do that. All right, we're going to send it over to Tournament Director Jeff Spring for our tees, for our lead card tee times on hole 1 here.
Welcome to the final round of the 2016 Green Mountain Championship presented by Discraft. This is the MPO lead card. First on the tee from Fort Mill, South Carolina, 3-time GMC champion, Ricky Weissaki. Next on the tee from Sholo, Arizona, Paul Ulibarri. There we go, Paul. Nice shot. Third on the tee from Charlotte, North Carolina, Jeremy Koling.
Shudger.
And rounding out our lead card from St. Louis, Missouri, Nico Locastro.
All right.
He's awesome.
Nico's chosen a turn over mid-range, maybe a rock. Hadn't gotten quite as much turn as he wanted to, but looks like he's going to find himself probably just outside the circle, looking at a putt for birdie 2. Hole 1 here at the Brewster Ridge course measures in at 315 feet. It is a left to right finish on the fairway, so it lends itself very well to a forehand or a nice turn over mid-range. Pretty surprisingly, Ricky's forehand hit an early tree. He's got a little forehand upshot. Puts it right under the basket for his par 3. Here's Nico Castro, about 45 feet from the basket. Nico's putt is wide right, gets over the right rim of the basket, but doesn't swing to the left quite enough. Finishes about 12 feet behind the basket. After nearly acing the hole, Big Germ finds himself with 25 feet for birdie. Big Germ's putt is directly in the center for birdie. Great start to the round for Jeremy Koling. From a similar distance, maybe a couple of feet closer, here's Paul Ulibarri. And with his patented Anheuser putt, Ulibarri is up and in for his birdie 2. Leaving Nico about 12 feet for his par. Nico's putt is low left side, but in for his 3. And Ricky's got a tap in for his 3. We're going to be moving over to hole 2 now, where we've got a bit of a backup, but we're going to bring you some more live disc golf action out here at the Brewster Ridge course. You're watching live disc golf on Smashbox TV. I've got my live.
The Mach-X's M-Link system takes basket performance to a new level, allowing for more outer chains without the excess weight. Outfitted with the new Trapper Basket 2 technology, the Mach-X has a 10-inch deep tray with additional support railing, eliminating bounce outs.
And we're back here on hole 2. Our women's lead card has just teed off. And we have 3 of the players have found inbounds, but Sarah Holcomb, going for her traditional forehand drive, somehow managed to miss all of the trees on this right side and get over the rock wall, so she's going to be throwing 3 from her mark. And we saw Valerie Jenkins with a little bit of a slip on her drive. Looked like she didn't have the best grip on the disc, and it just came out early and low, but she is sitting nicely in the window to at least get up to the second level. Par is not out of the question for her yet. And a much better release on that as the hyzer stood up and got flat. A little bit of a tree kick at the end is going to take off some distance. However, it should be within her range to get up and down for the 4. And we're going to have Sarah getting her mark from the spotter. Waiting on the group to confirm. And she will get to take her meter in. There's a white line on top of this rock wall that designates the exact out-of-bounds position. The wall itself is not a marker, but rather the white spray-painted line, so she gets a meter off of that, up to a meter. And there is a very tight window on the right side of this tree line, between the tree line and the rock wall. However, a kick there could be disastrous. And that's why she's a world champion, ladies and gentlemen. Your results may vary. The forehand roller with just enough touch on it to hit a couple tree roots and stay dead straight and get out into the open. Now here's Katrina from the left side of the fairway. Her tee shot stayed on hyzer. Just one of the little tricks of throwing uphill. She didn't quite get the disc to flat. However, being right-handed, it does set up nicely for her to attack with the big hyzer shot here. And that's a big power throw there from a somewhat tricky lie among the roots of the tree. She should have a good opportunity to get up and down for par. Glad everybody could tune in this morning. Forgive my mush-mouth nature this morning. I'm still waking up and it's a little bit chilly out here in Vermont. Gotta get those jaw muscles warmed up. This will be Paige Pierce, prepared for the weather. And she goes with a forehand that hyzers out. And that's a couple early mistakes are going to cost her in her ability to make a run at Katrina's lead. And this will be Sarah Hokum's fourth shot after going out of bounds on her drive. It sets up nicely for her preferred style of throwing, the forehand. And that should be no problem. To look at the green, seems to be right around circle's edge, maybe just inside. And we can see Valerie's in the smaller side of the fairway that we were talking about. And that putter shot is laced within the circle, where, like we were mentioning earlier, she's only missed one putt so far this tournament. So if that streak can continue, she'll be able to further separate herself from Sarah Hokum, who she came into this round tied with. And we're just receiving word for all of you guys out there watching and following the statistics along on udisclive.com that Paul McBeth is 4 down through 5 holes. He's back on the 4th card, so unfortunately at this time we don't have a camera on him. We'll see what we can do about that. It's a little bit tough to skip holes on this property, as we're on a cross-country ski trail. So there's not a lot of loops in this layout of this course, but we will keep track of the stats and let you know. And oh no. That's going to be another OB penalty stroke for Paige, and she's only going to get to move about 30 feet up the fairway. And Katrina has put a nice layup just along of the basket. Actually, correction, not long at all. Seems to be right underneath the basket from my vantage point. And the rock wall just adds insult to injury. Makes a lie tough in addition to taking that 1-stroke penalty. You have to take an awkward lie, and this tree is going to be directly in Paige's line. very close to throwing it in. Chain high, just weak side. And we'll approach the green up here. Very soon to follow, the MPO lead card. Looks like they may be getting set to tee. It's a little bit of a non-traditional format out here today. We have the FPO chase card, followed by the MPO chase card, and then the FPO lead card, followed by the MPO lead card. It's a staggered shotgun start is the official name of this format, as all the other cards that have still qualified and made the cut teed off 20 minutes earlier on the holes later down the course. And Hogan's putt from about 18 feet is good for a bogey 5. And Valerie continues her excellent putting inside the circle, and she will take a one-stroke advantage over Sarah, moving into an outright third place. Then we see Paige continue to struggle on this hole. She'll have a straddle out from a knee, and she really needs to take this one right here. If she gives up too many more strokes, Valerie may be catching up to her before we even reach the turn. No problem there. Excellently done, center pole. And here your leader, Katrina Allen, will tap out for her par. And Robert McCall, you're walking up the fairway with the lead card right now. How did those drives fare?
Jamie, we saw some pretty good drives up here on hole 2. A difficult uphill par 4. We saw a couple of different disc choices by our competitors. Ricky Wysocki took his opto compass up the middle and just put it in the middle of the fairway, which is pretty nice. Paul Ulibarri took an F2 that finished just to the left, and Nico's drive finished just to the left. Not sure what disc he threw, and then Big Germ had the drive of the bunch with his D3. A beautiful shot that's going to give him a pretty good look at a birdie 3 here. Paul Ulibarri surveying his options. Looks like he's going with a forehand turnover through the right side gap. He's got a lot of turn on it. It's cut rolled to the right. Can't tell if it rolled over the rock wall or not. Up next to throw will be Ricky Weissaki. He's got his Lucid Felon in his hand. Ricky takes a similar line to Paul's, but doesn't have quite as much turn on his disc, and that's a good shot by Ricky. Looks like he's going to give himself a look at this basket. Jeremy Koling will be next to throw after a fantastic tee shot. Oh, and Big Germ takes his D1 on the same line as the other gentleman, but hangs it just on the right side of the fairway, and it gets an awful kick off of the tree on the right side of the fairway. Kicks over the OB rock wall, so he's going to be throwing 4 from maybe 180 feet from the basket. A lot of trees between his lie and the basket. And though Nico Locastro's drive is farther up than the others, he actually has quite a bit worse lie. He's in some group trees here. Nico takes a forehand roller through the gap that's in front of him. It's gone all the way through the group in front of him and just caught a tree on the very end of the flight, or I guess the roll. Looks like he's put himself about 70 feet, maybe 60 feet from the basket. But what a fantastic shot by Nico right there. He had a very, very small alley through the trees, and he hit it perfectly with that forehand roller with what looked to be a first-run destroyer. Jeremy Koling is frustrated with the kick that he's gotten, asking for a spot from the group. He's going to approach with his M4. And Big Germ, with one of the smoothest forehand shots in the game, puts his M4 just a few feet from the basket. He will be taking a bogey 5 on this uphill par 4, hole 2. And courtesy of the UDisc app, we can tell you that Paul McBeth has birdied 4 of his first 5 holes and is on quite a charge right now. He will not go quietly into the night. Here's Nico from approximately 65 or 70 feet. It's got great height, and it just finishes to the left. Nico says nicely up, but if you would have given him his drive in that position every time, I think he would have been happy to say that he got a 4 on this hole. Paul Ulibarri's second shot was turned over a bit too much through the right side gap. Hit and cut rolled to the edge of the rock wall, but did not go out of bounds. So he will be putting for birdie 3 here, asking his card mates about his spot, as he does get a meter relief from the out of bounds area. He has a little bit of awkward footing on the rocks, a couple of trees between himself and the basket. About a 40-foot putt here for Paul Ulibarri. And from the rocks, Paul Ulibarri's putt attempt is just left. He's going to settle for a par 4, which is not a bad score here on hole 2. It's Ricky Wysocki from 31 feet. Ricky's putt is just over the cage and directly in the center of the basket. He'll take a birdie 3 on this difficult hole. Big Germ is going to tap out for his bogey 5 after his unfortunate kick over the out-of-bounds wall. Paul Ulibarri is in for a par 4. And Nico Castro is in for a par 4. We're moving over to hole 3, an uphill par 3 with scoring opportunities. Stay with us after a word from our sponsors. You're watching live disc golf out here at Discraft's Green Mountain Championships. Paul Ulibarri's throwing his M2 on a flat hyzer. Looks like a great shot from the tee here. Nico Castro looks as if he's taken a fairway driver on a slightly turned over little nose up stall line. Seems as if he's put it pretty close to the basket. Last to tee will be Big Germ. Big Germ's disc has a little bit more right turn than he was looking for. Should give him a look, maybe just outside the circle at this basket. Hole 3 is an uphill blind shot to the basket, 325 feet. Most of our competitors are throwing a mid-range. Ricky went with an approach disc, which was a harp. But we've seen putters, we've seen mid-ranges, and as I said, Nico looked as if he threw a fairway driver. So a lot of different ways to access this hole. Handicap-wise, I believe this is one of the easier birdies on the course. So if our competitors walk off with anything other than a 2, especially on this elite level, they're not going to be very pleased. Nico Castro is first to putt from the circle's edge, 33 feet. Nico's putt is dead center for his birdie. Great putt from the circle 1 edge. If you are new to disc golf or to the Disc Golf Pro Tour, when we say Circle 1, we're talking about the 10-meter circle out from the basket, which is the area from which competitors may not follow through after they putt. Circle 2 is just circle 1 doubled, so that's about 66 feet from the basket. Here's Paul Ulibarri from 28 feet. Paul's putt is left side and in. He'll be carding a birdie 2 here. After congratulating Paul Ulibarri on his putt, here's Jeremy Koling from 22 feet. Germ's putt is up and in. And last to putt will be Ricky Weissaki from 20 feet. Ricky's putt is left side and in. That's going to be an all-star birdie for our lead card here. As we move over to hole 4, we'll hear a word from our sponsors. Stay with us. You're watching live disc golf here on Smashbox TV.
The Mach-X features a unified chain assembly, connecting both layers of chain to a single point. The soft outer chain slows the disc on impact, while the high-tension X-pattern inner chains stop all forward momentum, securing the putt. With 40 unified strands of chain, the Mach-X is the evolution of disc golf.
You're watching the Disc Golf Pro Tour, brought to you by Dude, authentic disc golf clothing, and by Prodigy Disc, the future of disc golf, and by Night Eyes, innovation.
Welcome back to the 2016 Discraft Green Mountain Championships. We're in the final round on this beautiful Saturday morning at Brewster Ridge Disc Golf Course. We're looking at Katrina Allen, who's lining up her second shot on the par 4, hole number 4. A little bit of a tricky stance here. The tree is easily in her follow-through path with her right arm. We'll see what she chooses to do. It looks like she's going to up. And she thought about using all of the available area behind the disc. You can use, as a rule of thumb, up to about a disc's width behind your lie for your plant foot. Instead, she chose to straddle out and use her strength to her advantage and throw that up shot. While we're watching this great coverage this morning, just want to remind everybody, do us a favor. If you love what we're doing, go out and share. Share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Give us a like on the YouTube channel. Give us your feedback. We always appreciate all the feedback we get from all the fans out there. And we want to be able to share this with everybody, all the disc golfers all around the world. We know it's early here in the U.S., so we hope there's a good European contingent watching. Give us a shout. Let us know where you're from. And remember to support the Pro Tour, who's supporting live disc golf. And this will be Paige Pierce's third shot. Jump putting to the right side of the green. She didn't really have a good look at the basket from her lie there. Smart play. Here's Sarah Hogan from the right side, just off the fairway. The forehand shot didn't quite stand up for her. And despite the little tickle from the leaf, she was able to get over the rock wall guarding this green. And Katrina with no real pressure to go for it at this point. She's currently holding an 11-stroke lead over Paige Pierce. This will be Valerie Jenkins from about 35 feet for par. She got caught up off the tee, turned it over a little bit, and had to pitch out from a knee stance in a bush. Good weight, just a little bit right. Should be an easy cleanup for bogey from there. And that'll be a par for Paige Pierce. These should be relatively routine putts here, with Sarah Hogan and Katrina Allen also getting pars, and Valerie Jenkins will give the stroke. She should give the stroke back to Sarah that she had just gained. And it looks to me like the MPO lead card is ready to tackle this very difficult par 4 with the protected green. Robert McCall is with our lead card right now.
Thank you, Jamie. We just had our tee shots here on hole 4, which is an uphill 525-foot par 4. We had 3 fantastic drives by our lead card, and Jeremy Koling's forehand just was left out of his hand and hit one of the trees on the left side of the fairway and then kicked left into some more trees, and so he seems to be in a bit of trouble on this par 4. Hole 2 and hole 4 look fairly similar in the way that they're laid out. But if I were to guess on the hole stats, I would say hole 2 plays more difficult to par than hole 4 does, as hole 4's green is slightly more accessible, even with the rock wall by the basket. Big Germ is in a bit of disbelief as he's trying to figure out what shot he's going to take here. He's picked a forehand roller with a D1, and it looks like a great shot. It works back to the left. Wow, what a great recovery shot by Big Germ here. From an impeded position with couldn't be more than a 3-foot gap to throw through. He laces a forehand roller up the fairway. Next to throw will be Nico Castro. Nico teed with the same fairway driver that he used on hole 3. Nico's opted for a slightly turned over line that he's wanting to work back to the left. Looks like he's come up just short of the rock wall, but we'll have a look at a putt. Next to throw will be Paul Ulibarri. Looks as if he's lining up the same type of line he threw on his second shot on hole 2, which is going to be a turnover forehand. It just pans softly to flat. It needs to hold to the left, and he catches a tree short of the rock wall. Looks like he's going to give himself 60 feet or so to the basket with an uphill look on this uphill par 4, hole 4. Ricky's drive is the best of the bunch on this hole. He's got a harp for his upshot, which is going to be a turnover forehand. He's got good height on it. It's flexing right at the basket. Oh my goodness! Ricky Weissaki cards an eagle 2 on this uphill par 4. What a fantastic shot. Right out of his hand, Nico Castro said, "Get in." And that harp, it might as well have been magnetic as it was drawn to the basket the entire way. He throws in from approximately 260 feet uphill. Jeremy Koling's M4 is turning to the left just a bit, but he gets over the rock wall. He'll be inside the circle for his look at a par 4. Folks, I may have overstated how far that throw-in is just a minute ago, but it was out of pure excitement because Ricky just runs by the basket and takes his harp out. What a fantastic shot. Paul Ulibarri from some trees on the right side of the fairway is just right of the basket. Looks like he's settled 18 feet away. Nico's come to rest 2 feet inside circle 1 edge, so this is a 30-foot putt for birdie 3 for Nico Castro. Nico's putt is directly in the center of the basket for his birdie 3. Great putt for Nico as he cards birdie 3 on this difficult uphill par 4. Well, I guess Ricky Weissaki might not say this hole is so difficult as he carded an eagle 2. But mere mortals and actual good players would be happy with a 3 here. Here's Big Germ from 25 feet. And Big Germ's putter is half and half on the rim. It does not stay in the basket. He'll be taking a bogey 5. Paul Ulibarri is up and in for his par 4. And left to tap out will be Big Germ, Jeremy Koling. He'll be taking a birdie 5. We'll be moving to the next tee after a word from our sponsors. Thanks for joining us here on Smashbox TV at the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
If I lay up, I get a personal best. But if I hit the putt, it's a new course record.
On hole 5's tee, it's a 285-foot slight dogleg to the right. Ricky Wysocki puts his heart within 1 foot of the basket. Nico Castro's putter turns over a bit early. He asks for it to get through, and then is pleased when it does. He's gotten a kick off a tree to probably around the circle's edge, maybe a bit outside. Here's Paul Ulibarri. Paul Ulibarri's opted for a D2 forehand. Oh, and he catches one of the last trees on the left side of the fairway. He seems incredulous that that disc turned as much as it did. Here's Big Germ with what I believe is an M4. Oh, and he's gotten a beautiful flight out of it. It looks as if it finished just right of the basket, maybe 15 feet away. Great shot by Big Germ there. if you weren't able to tune into the broadcast on Thursday, hole 5 here is a slight dogleg to the right, but if our competitors were to throw just a straight shot down the middle, even if it didn't finish to the right at all, they'd more than likely finish inside the circle. So it seems like a lot of players make the mistake of trying to turn their disc too much or too early. We saw Wysocki on our featured card on Thursday throw a perfectly straight shot that ended at 28 feet and netted him birdie. On our lead card today, we've got 2 players inside the circle and 2 out. Here's Nico Castro. He's opted for a soft Cenas putt. Finishes just on the left side of the basket, maybe 10 feet away. From 5 feet closer to the basket, here's Paul Ulibarri. And Paul chooses the step putt that he's developed over the years. Comes up just short and left of the basket, but just inside Nikko, he'll have a drop in for par 3. Big Germs M4 has finished 22 feet right of the basket. Looks as if he'll have an unimpeded stance for this putt for birdie. Big Germ's putt for 2 is up and in. Nikko is in for par. Paul Ulibarri will take a par 3. And Ricky might be in danger of bumping his head on the basket as he drops in for birdie 2. We're going to send it over to the Female Pro Open lead card and Jamie Thomas. Jamie, tell us how the ladies are shooting today.
Well, Robert, we just came off a very impressive star frame on the island hole number 6. Coming out of that tunnel and throwing uphill on wet grass. I mean, the furthest putt on there was about 14 feet, so it was really great play. And Sarah Hokum is really starting to heat up. She's taken 2 strokes from Valerie Jenkins on the last 2 holes. And we're here on hole number 7. It's a downhill left-turning par 3. This one is a lot of fun to throw. You just kind of smooth that down the hill and let the gravity take that disc and try to get it to stop with the right speed to have a good-looking putt. As it's starting to heat up just a little bit out here in Smugglers Notch, Vermont, we're seeing some of the dew on the grass in the sunnier areas is drying up just a little bit. And we're very excited to be bringing you live disc golf. Glad you could get up this early with us on a Saturday morning. Before you get tuned into college football or whatever you're into later this afternoon, come check out some professional disc golf. And again, make sure you share it, like, and share across all the social media platforms. And we're going to throw it back over to Robert McCall, as it looks like the men are ready to attack the island hole number 6. Robert, what's the story over there?
Jamie, Ricky Weissaki is coming off eagle birdie on the last 2 holes. And we come up to what I believe to be the easiest hole in the course, 225-foot par 3, hole 6. Ricky's picked a harp. He's thrown it a bit long. It's hard to tell if that's safe or not. It's going to be a group call to see if he's inbounds or not. Big Germ has gone with his M4 on his turnover. Settled about 20 feet from the basket. Nico's opted for a soft Cenas. He settled 10 feet from the basket. Paul Ulibarri goes for a forehand turnover as well and settles about 25 feet from the basket. It looks as if Ricky's eagle on hole 4 is only the second eagle of the entire event. We heard yesterday that Eagle McMahon birdied the uphill par 4 hole 16, approximately 565 feet. That eagle crushed uphill and had about a 20-footer, which is pretty incredible. And so Ricky's eagle is quite a feat out here on these courses, but after going eagle birdie, it looks as if Ricky may be staring bogey in the face as his harp might be out of bounds. We're waiting for a group call on that in just a moment. And Ricky's putt is up and in. Big Germ's putt is high on this basket from about 25 feet. Paul Ulibarri from just inside that distance. Paul Ulibarri's putt is dead center for his birdie 2 here on hole 6. And he gives a wave to the one person applauding in the gallery right now. Nico's drive is closest to the basket, drops in from 10 feet. And Big Germ is in for his 3. We're going to move over to hole 7 as we prepare to see some more fantastic live disc golf from our Men's Pro Open card. You are watching Smashbox TV.
This is the Ascent. The Ascent. It's Vibrum's first driver. It's our stable, able to overstable fairway driver. Super stable. Love this disc. Got a nice beveled edge here. It's a very fast flyer. Has minimal glide with a nice, consistent, reliable fade at the end.
If you've got a lot of wind, she'll always be stable for you.
Loves a headwind. Loves a lot of power. You've got a lot of power. This is the disc for you.
It's not going to flip on you. It's a great disc and very forgiving.
It goes where you put it consistently.
Welcome to the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Brought to you by Zuka Cart, the ultimate carry-all. And by DGA, the company that brought you disc golf. And by Paragon Disc Golf. We print disc golf.
With the Pro Tour, I'm just, I think everybody's just really anxious to kind of see how well it's going to turn out.
If the Pro Tour can get everybody that's the best player there, I'll be there just the same to try to beat them.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Pro Tours and with the hopes of winning and work as hard as I can. And if I win these tournaments, then I'll be the Pro Tour champion.
Welcome back here to the Discraft's Green Mountain Championship. We're on the Brewster Ridge course today. We're out here on hole 7. It's a downhill 365-foot par 3, dog legs to the left. This hole, it's important to hit the correct line, but the most important thing here is speed control. Our competitors are going to be looking to throw a little bit slower disc, maybe a putter or a mid-range, and just make sure that they control the speed into the green as it has the opportunity to run away from them. Nico Castro's first to tee. Nico's opted for a flat top DX rock. His speed looks nice from the tee, and he gets some applause from the gallery. Seems to have settled about 10 feet from the basket. Ulibarri goes with an M2. He takes a much higher line than Nico. Looks a little speedy from the tee box. Seems as if he's gone a bit deep, maybe 30 feet, probably close to the rock wall behind the basket. Ricky's pulled his hard harp off of a tree that has actually hit a photographer and kicked back to the fairway. Big Germ opts for an M4 forehand turnover that has a great move on it. It looks like he catches a late tree and kicks right on the fairway. Paul Ulibarri informs us that Ricky totally just hit that guy with his harp in the leg. He does appear to be limping a bit, so that's probably the case. Ricky Weissaki takes his blue harp that he threw in for eagle that he hit somebody. Sorry, pardon me. I've got Ricky hitting people with discs on the brain. Ricky opts for the same blue harp that he used for his eagle throw-in on hole 4. Throws a turnover forehand down the fairway and finishes left side of the fairway. Looks like he's going to be outside the circle for his putt for par 3. We'll give you a brief update on the rest of our scores. Right now, Ricky Wysocki is in the lead. He's 27 under par. Michael Johansson is having himself quite a round as he has 6 under par through 7 holes. He sits in second place at 22 under. Paul Ulibarri is 3 under through 6 holes, and he's at 21 under par. Then we've got Nate Sexton, who's putting together a good round, 5 under through 9 holes. He's in 4th place. And Ricky's bid for par is high and off the top of the basket, and it's skipped well deep of the basket, maybe 35 feet away. Oh my goodness, Jeremy Koling from approximately 65 feet uphill has just thrown in a beautiful putt for his birdie too. What a fantastic shot. Paul Ulibarri's put on his hiking pants as he's gone well deep of the basket, finds himself in a bit of foliage. Looks as if he's about 50 feet, maybe 55 feet from the basket. He is clearing out some dead and unattached limbs from his stance. As a reminder, if there are limbs in your direct stance and they are dead and unattached, you are able to move those legally within the PDGA rules. However, if you try to move any limbs or obstacles in front of your stance, that is illegal. Oh, and Paul Ulibarri's putt is just high and right. Settles 10 feet from the basket. He'll be looking at a par. My eyes deceived me a moment ago. It looks as if Ricky Wysocki has settled about 28 feet from the basket. Not quite outside the circle. Ricky's putt for 4 is up and in. He will be taking a bogey 4, which is only his second bogey of the entire tournament. Paul Ulibarri's putt for par 3 is in, and Nikko allows all the other competitors to throw several times before he walks up to his 8-foot drop-in birdie. Nico Castro is in for his birdie too, and he gets a great round of applause from the gallery. What a fantastic tee shot by him. We want to show you some highlights from yesterday's round. Stay with us as we watch some live disc golf here on Smashbox TV.
You just kind of expect him to be there, right?
hole 8, watching the FPO lead card. Katrina Allen is third on the tee. Getting a nice skip on this uphill dogleg left par 4. Right about where Katrina went is the ideal landing zone. You want to be a little bit longer and be in the further gap. There are 2 main gaps available to all these players. Sarah Hokum going for the aggressive inside line. It does get you further up the hill. It seems she was able to avoid all of the trees and should be sitting up nicely. Again, want to welcome everybody into Discraft's Green Mountain Championships 2016. You're watching the Disc Golf Pro Tour on the Disc Golf Pro Tour or on Smashbox TV, wherever you're tuning in from. Thanks for joining us. We're in the middle of a great battle right now. There's lots of big movers on the men's side. Some names you will know. Nate Doss, Paul McBeth, making some big moves alongside Michael Johansson. Last time I checked, right before the ladies teed, he had moved into sole possession of second place. Ricky Wysocki is still playing very solid and holding on to that lead. And speaking of leads, Katrina Allen has increased her lead so far this tournament, or this round, increased her tournament lead. She's holding on to double digits right now, but there's lots of tricky angles. And this will be Paige Pierce's second shot. Her drive didn't quite hyze her out, but semi-lucky. Caught a little bit of a break, hit the tree and stopped, short of going into the deep shoal. And Paige again with a fortunate kick back into the fairway. Very tough to throw from a knee on uneven ground uphill. But she will still be able to get up and down for a par, having that opportunity. And we're looking at Valerie's tee shot, which has landed just short of the short tee box. There are 4 sets of tees out here at Brewster Ridge, much like a traditional golf course. It looked like a little bit late of a release there. And it'll be Sarah Hokum next to throw. She took the inside route, so she does have the forehand option available to her, though it looks like she's going to opt for the backhand here. Nope, check that. Possibly even a roller. And that is well done. That's going to be outside of the circle, but probably a straddle putt from the circle 2 range. She has been not afraid to use that forehand roller on the front 9 so far today. And a little bit of release issues today for some of these ladies. And you have to wonder, there's been a little bit of a stop and go in the pace of play so far. When we get to these longer par fours, even some of the men's cards are having issues getting up the fairway efficiently, with the exception of the few names we just mentioned. So that's just another level of difficulty. Not only are you playing in the final event before we cut to a special format of the Tour Championships, but you know, you're playing in the final round, you're playing a competitive round, and then you have to deal with the stop and go flow. Just adds that extra bit of difficulty. And she just juiced that forehand a little bit. And there was a good birdie bid from Katrina. Falls just short on the hyzer. And she was not far inside where we saw Paul Oman throw it in on the initial round. Go back and check that footage out. That was an incredible throw. And we're just getting word that James Conrad has eagled hole 11. Unofficially, that's only the third eagle of the entire tournament. And that'll look like a par for Sarah Hokum as well. Valerie Jenkins will be throwing her third shot birdie attempt here. Ooh. And a good bid with the Annie. Just missing weak side. And these ladies are going to tap out here very shortly after Paige Pierce attempts a little bit longer, a little bit of a tester putt range for Paige right here. Sliding out the weak side. And to borrow a phrase from our good friend Billy Grump, the worst words in disc golf are, "You're still out." She was able to cash that in though. And these ladies are tapping out. That'll be Valerie, Sarah, and Katrina for a par. And it looks like the men are already teeing off down there. Robert, what are you seeing?
Jamie, we've got a bunch of good tee shots on this hole so far. Hole 8 is a par 4 540-foot hole that is a steep dogleg to the right, and And once you've covered the straight portion of the fairway, the fairway turns up and to the right, and there are a lot of trees between our players and the basket. It looks as if each of our players threw a fantastic drive on this hole, but I saw a lot of players take large numbers when I was walking the course just to feel out what the lines looked like. It's very, very easy to get a bad kick on this hole, find yourself in the woods, and be in a tough spot. And so our lead card of competitors have thrown a ton of good shots here, and a couple of them chose for the inside tight hyzer gap or tight turnover forehand gap. If you're a big German, you're one of the best forehand players in the world. All that remains to be seen for our players is how their lie is going to mesh with the trees that are on the left side of the fairway here. First to throw his approach shot will be Ricky Wysocki. He's got his harp for a forehand turnover. Ricky's harp finishes left of the basket. Looks to be outside the circle's edge. Got a little too much turn on that, but that may have been dictated by the trees in front of him. Paul Ulibarri has thrown his drive a couple of feet right of one of the alternate tee pads on this hole, so he's going to have a clearly defined line to the basket, which will be an uphill flat shot that he wants to finish to the left just a bit. Knowing Ulibarri, he may take a forehand through the trees as opposed to that flat shot. And it looks as if that is what he's opting to do. Ulibarri's forehand comes out clean. Left of the basket, but skips back into the right. Looks like he'll have about 28 feet for his birdie 3. Nico's pulled his upshot to the right. Hits a tree and kicks to the right. It's going to leave him maybe 90 feet uphill to the basket. And Big Germ has a pretty nice opening on the right side of the fairway. He's lining up a turnover M4. Looks as if he's executed it almost perfectly and just hits the only branch that he could hit in between himself and the basket. That takes most of the turn out of the disc and kicks him to the right, so he's going to be about the circle's edge, maybe a little bit outside for his look for birdie 3. We just found out a moment ago that James Conrad has eagled hole 11, so congratulations to you, James. Any eagle out here is definitely a good one. Nikko from 75 feet just nestles his putter under the basket. He's very frustrated with his upshot, as he might have had one of the clearer lines of our competitors. Ricky Weissaki from inside him. Looks as if Ricky has about 42, 43 feet to the basket. Ricky's going to have an interesting line to the basket, as he's got one tree right where he would want to putt, and then a couple of trees shaping the putt after that. He's chosen to straddle out to his left. And he starts walking before it even hits the chains, as he knows he's thrown a fantastic putt. That's a couple of great putts for Ricky here on hole 8, as he threw in about a 75-footer yesterday, and today's putt obstructed from about 42 feet. What a great putt by Ricky Wysocki. Next to putt for birdie will be Jeremy Koling. A bit outside 30 feet. Jeremy's putt with hyzer is up and in. He will card a birdie 3 here. Paul Ulibarri's Paul Ulibarri's upshot is into deep of the basket, but he is inside the circle, approximately 30 feet away. Paul Ulibarri throws in a great putt from 30 feet for his birdie 3. Our lead card has made quick work of this difficult par 4 hole 8 with 3 birdies and 1 par by Nico Castro. We're moving over to hole 9 after a word from our sponsors. You're watching live disc golf here on Smashbox TV.
For me, it's time with my friends.
For me, it's a walk in the park.
For me, it's my job. Go in. Oh.
For me, it's all about the exercise.
For me, it fits into my busy lifestyle.
For me, it's my passion.
For us, it doesn't cost much to play.
For me, it's fun.
Nico, tell us how you get in the zone and ready for a tournament.
Well, I like to start off close to the basket and start to get comfortable with my putters and my routine. So I just, start making the short ones, slowly move back, and the goal is I want my 10-footers to feel the same as a 70-footer. Just kind of develop that routine and try to do the same thing in a repetitive motion, so it just gets more and more comfortable throughout the morning. I like to spend at least half an hour or so, putting before each tournament, just to, regain focus each and every round, and yeah.
And how many putts does it take to dial in?
How many? That's like asking how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. It's kind of the same question. So, as many as it takes each individual person. It's kind of just your individual efforts on how many putts you feel will make you more comfortable during the round. Some people don't like to practice a lot before the tournament. I believe that the more you practice, the more your efforts are going to pay off.
scores?
Someone does.
Paul, you got scores?
So I didn't get 7 or 8.
A 4-3 for me.
Jeremy?
2-3.
3.
We're back here on hole 9. It's a short uphill par 3, 205 feet. A fairly tight gap for our competitors to navigate. Big Germ's gone with an M4, asking it to get right, and it does. Great shot by Big Germ there. Paul Ulibarri's opted for a forehand as well. He's gotten a pretty rough kick off the left side of the fairway into the right side trees. Here's Ricky Weissaki. Ricky's shot ends on the right side but seems to have settled in the fairway. He'll have a long look at birdie from there. Last to tee will be Nico Castro. Nico opts for a soft Cenis with a turnover.
Yeah.
And he throws a great shot. Looks as if he's finished 20 feet from the basket. Great shot by Nico. And if you haven't been watching our previous broadcasts, you may not know, because of a couple of men down due to injury and sickness, Terry Miller is operating our catch camera today. And so just a moment ago, he was up near the basket where the female pro open competitors were finishing. And he said Sarah Hokum said she might have just pulled her back. And so we hope for quick recovery, or maybe that it's not as serious as it sounds to Sarah, but we will keep you updated on that situation as we find out more information. Paul Ulibarri and his caddy Bradley Williams are on the right side of the fairway, trying to determine the best way out of the group of trees he's found his drive in. And in case you haven't been able to watch the previous couple of broadcasts, Paul Ulibarri does have Pro Tour player Bradley Williams. He's carrying Paul's bag today and giving some good advice to him and cheering him on for good shots. And as Paul Ulibarri was lining up his shot, Big Germ told me there's not a best way out of the trees, and I think that he's right. Paul Ulibarri just made a great shot from where he was, just to end up at the circle's edge with a forehand roller out of the woods. Ricky Wysocki's harp has settled directly behind a tree, so he's straddled out to the side. Looks as if he's about 65 feet from the basket. Oh, and Ricky's putt looks to have just missed the left side chains. He settles right near the basket. We'll have a drop in for his par 3. After a great recovery shot out of the woods, Paul Ulibarri will be next to putt for his par 3. Wow, and Big Germ said it best. What a save from out of the trees. Great up and down by Paul Ulibarri. Though the UDisc stats will just count that as a scramble, that's a fantastic scramble for Paul Ulibarri. Here's Nico Castro from 22 feet. Nico's putt is dead center. So he'll be carding a birdie 2 here. From just inside Nico's putt. Jeremy Koling's putt is up and in for his birdie 2. And Ricky Weissaki is in for a par 3. Not very pleased with that effort. That's been the front 9 of the Brewster Ridge course. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with live disc golf action here on Smashbox TV in just a moment.
Green Mountain Championships 2016. Jamie Thomas here. We have got some extra bonus coverage for you. We've caught up to the card of Nate Doss, Paul McBeth, James Conrad, and James Cole. There are some hot rounds being thrown out here right now. Nate Doss is currently 9 down. We're on hole 16 here, and he's lining up a birdie look. Right behind him, James Conrad and Paul McBeth are at 8 down, and James Cole is at 7 down. Doss and McBeth are making a push for the top 5 right now. Nate's putt looks to be about 45, 48 feet. Oh, and the ante lands just short. That's actually surprising how far he was from the basket, considering he threw an excellent forehand shot. It must have just gotten a kick. It must hit one of the trees inside the circle. And Paul McBeth drops one in strong side from about 20 feet to grab a birdie and tie Nate Doss at 9 under par. The competitors waiting on the card in front of them to tee on 17. Now some tap-ins. Didn't want to distract the other card with the chain noise while they're throwing. And this just proves the maxim true in golf as well as disc golf, that it's not over till the final putt drops. We're going to move up ahead here to hole 17. Very picturesque par 4, slightly left turning. There's danger to the left in the form of a really thick line of jail trees. Thick line of thin trees that creates jail for any competitors that may hyzer out early. You really want to pure the gap. As the card here waits for Steve Brewster's group to move up. They've just gone off the tee. And again, we're bringing you all this live coverage courtesy of the Pro Tour and all of its sponsors. So please go out and support those who support disc golf. Once again, if you're watching before your favorite school kicks off for college football on Saturdays in the fall, make sure you tune into some professional disc golf here. Share our link on Facebook, Twitter, whatever social media platform you prefer. Give us a share, give us a like, and send us your feedback. That's starting to heat up here in Vermont. It's been an interesting tale this entire week. There was rain on the practice days, and we're due for a big shower tomorrow, but the humidity had set in on Wednesday. The skies have cleared up the last couple of days and been a little bit more crisp. And we're hoping, if you guys can hope with us, that the good weather will hold out and maybe the weatherman will be wrong. We can have a great final day on the Pro Tour tomorrow. We are still waiting here on hole 17. Let's show a little bit about the trick on this hole here. As we walk up to the tee pad on 17, you can see that it's a slightly left-turning par 4. It's much flatter than most of the other par 4s out here on this course, as we're back towards the end of this cross-country ski slope. The little bit of trees to the left do provide some jail if you don't get the shot off the tee past them. We saw Paul Ulibarri throw one of the most impressive forehand roller escape shots I've ever seen on this hole during the first round. And right about where the card is standing is the ideal spot for the disc to start fading out hyzer around the corner and give you a look to put it close to the green, where it's a little bit of a protected pin with an opening and a gap on the 5 o'clock side from the basket. And we'll wait just a couple more minutes here as this card does finish up their second shots from the fairway, and then we'll get you some more coverage straight away.
Yeah. What, Uli? There we go, Rick.
Sun King Discs, established in 2001. Florida's most respected name in disc sports. Official retail merchandiser of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Currently on tour supporting Discraft and DGA live inventory, free shipping at $12. All orders $19.99, ships in a box, includes single discs, large selection of both stock and collectibles. Check out the website at www.sunkingdiscs.com.
Welcome back to hole 17 and the final round of Discraft's Green Mountain Championships 2016. We are live on the tee here. James Cole will have the honors. And it was a little bit high inside on that tee shot, but he did appear to filter past the main source of trouble that you need to clear. And Paul McBeth has thrown a monster drive pure at the gap on a sit-up hyzer. Oh, Nate's following suit with a little bit more of an overstable disc and just left it outside. And James Conrad drive gets a little bit of a kick towards the left side of the fairway. We'll have to wait to see where he ends up. As we take a walk down, hole 17. Total distance on this hole is 530 feet. So even from the shortest player off the tee, which will be James Conrad, still easily within reach of all these players to get to the green. Though the left side does play much tougher than the right side. Especially for these right-handed players, the fairway does not widen out that much to give them room to swing the hyzer for distance. We're approaching the tee and kind of saw a familiar smile on the faces of Paul McBeth and Nate Doss, who are used to being filmed. Paul says, "You heard we were shooting hot, huh?" And we're up here by James Conrad's lie. He's going to survey. He's going to have rocky footing down there in the creek, but he will have a gap, and this is actually a very similar spot to where Paul McBeth threw his lie from on Thursday, when he threw a great forehand upshot then. James Conrad is a newer name to a lot of us here, doing media up on the pro ranks, but well known down in his region. I believe he's from Virginia. And he throws an excellent touch forehand. Nestles, sits down very nicely in the fairway. He may be able to take a 50-50 hyzer run at it, birdie from there, but that should be no problem to get up and down for par. Worst case scenario. As we're moving up to Nate's drive here, we're actually going to have James Cole tee first, and he kicked into more of that jail on the left side. He's going to have to straddle out and also attempt the forehand escape shot. And if you can hear that, Nate Doss was impressed with that forehand, and I have to say I was as well. That held on an ante line for a good long time and settled down nicely. He's going to have a look. Here's Nate, who threw a predator off the tee. With the skip factor on that disc, it may have been not so bad that he hit that tree, because he may have found the left side trouble as well. He's going to need a slide here. And he has a look through the window. Nate's not very pleased with himself, but when he approaches the lie, I suspect he will realize he has a decent chance, a knee putt at least. We saw Paul Oman in the first round attempt a very similar line from right there. And we are still walking up to Paul McBeth's drive. I mean, he pured this. He's got a baby Spike Heiser run. And here he is. He's surveying the green. Looking to see the option. Looking to be unofficially the 4th eagle of the entire tournament. As we heard his card mate, James Conrad, was the 2nd unofficial eagle of the entire event. Oh, and it spikes down not 3 inches short. A slight correction for me there. That's a James Conrad had the 3rd eagle of the tournament. Ricky Wysocki actually eagled just before him, but we could call it 2A and 2B if we need to. Here's James after a tremendous escape forehand shot. He's clean in the window looking at birdie. Right dead center in the heart with the step through putt. Jog it out, James. That's a great birdie. And here's a tricky putt for Nate, who's opting to not go for the knee. There are some small needly branches in the way. Oh, and it just slides out the weak side. Nate really wanted that one. A little bit of a show of frustration from the 3-time world champion. Now James Cole. If he makes this, it will leave Nate out in the cold on the birdie train. Oh. And after a tremendous escape shot, a little more frustration from this card, as that'll be pars for Nate Dawson, James Cole, and birdies for Paul McBeth and James Conrad. We've seen some pretty impressive play out of this group right here, and Robert McCall over with the lead card. How are they faring? Are they playing as well as these guys?
We've got some pretty good scores going over here by our lead card. We've got Nico Castro, who just threw a pretty poor drive, who's eyeing up his 2nd shot right now. But to give you a brief score update on the round, Ricky Weissaki is 6 under par through 10 holes. And our other competitors are all 5 under par through 10. Which means that Ricky has a 5-shot lead over the gentleman on our card. But we need to check back in with Michael Johansson in just a moment to see how his round is going. Ulibarri is at 23 under, and both Koling is at 22 under, and Nico Castro 21 under par. And so Michael Johansson is 8 under through 11 holes. He's in solo 2nd place right now. And Nico's put a great move on this roller. And just catches a tree on the left side of the fairway, but had a great angle on that roller, especially from a difficult spot. He's thrown a great shot. Jeremy Koling's gotten a really unfortunate kick off of a tree that you couldn't really see from the tee box. He was very surprised to see it kick off. We've got caddy extraordinaire Dave Weissblum on the bag for a big germ right now. Dave Weissblum of Night Eyes, of course, one of our supporters of Smashbox TV. Definitely check out the glow-in-the-dark disc that Night Eyes has come out with. Here's Jeremy Koling from a knee out of the right side woods on the fairway. After a deep breath, Big Germ puts down a forehand roller that held a good angle through the most part of the fairway. Finished on the left side of the fairway, just inside the left side trees, but looks as if he'll have a pretty good look at an up and down for his par 4 from there. Hole 11 on the Brewster Ridge course is one that has had quite a bit of backup throughout the round because it is a technically difficult hole. It's a downhill par 4, 575 feet. And off the drive, our players want to have something that turns to the right, whether that's a forehand or a turnover, that works to the right and then just lands flat, which will give them an opportunity to attack the basket straight on from, looks like Ricky's throwing from about 180 feet away down the hill with his harp. He's put enough turn on it for certain. He gets a bad kick to the left. Don't think he's going to be inside the circle from there, maybe just on the circle's edge. And Paul Ulibarri looks as if he'll be next to throw. He's conferring with caddy Bradley Williams on what shot he should throw. As Bradley is not competing this weekend, he is most certainly the highest rated caddy out here. Player rating of 1024, but I know Bradley pretty well, so I'd put his caddy rating at probably 1005. He could use a little work. That's tongue-in-cheek, of course. I think Bradley is doing a great job with Paul out here this week. Paul Ulibarri's gone with a high-flexing turnover forehand. Looks like he's ended up pinned high, but maybe still on the circle's edge. That was a good shot from a difficult stance. Here's Jeremy Koling's third with his M4. Approximately 130 feet to the basket from here. Jeremy's M4 has come out a bit soft, but gets a nice skip to about 20 feet. It's a good shot by Jeremy Koling. And after a great roller from a difficult stance, Nico Castro will be the last to throw his approach shot. He's taken a patent pending stance, which is a backward stance. Allows you to stretch out around some obstacles. Nico's asking for that disc to skip, and it does just a bit. He will be inside the circle, but not as close as he'd like from an upshot of that distance. After taking a rough kick to the left, Ricky Wysocki has found himself 35 feet from the basket for his birdie 3. Ricky's putt is dead center basket. Gives a wave to the gallery. Great putt by Ricky Weissaki. Paul Ulibarri from 4 feet closer to the basket, just inside the circle's edge. Oh, pardon me. He must be just outside. I thought I saw some orange paint. He's lining up a step putt. Ulibarri taking his time, making sure he has this lined up exactly right. And after a smooth stepper, Ulibarri takes a step toward the basket when the putter was still about 10 feet away, knowing that he'd put it in for his birdie 3. Here's Nico Castro for his par. And Nico's putt is off the cage and in for his par 4 from 27 feet. Big Germs, I previously thought was 20 feet. He's closer to 12 feet. And Big Germ is in for his par 4. We're moving over to hole 12, and we should have a little bit better flow on the course. Stay with us. After a word from our sponsors, you're watching live disc golf here at the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Legacy Discs and Upper Park Designs have collaborated to bring you this new edition Rebel backpack bag. The Rebel has a 25 disc capacity with vertical and horizontal storage. The bag is lightweight and very functional, one of the best on the market. Pre-order yours now through discgolfblackmarket.com and you will receive a limited edition stamp of our long-awaited disc, The Enemy. I'm Steve Rico, and I approve this message.
Welcome back to Discraft's Green Mountain Championship out here in Smugglers Notch, Vermont. This is a fantastic, beautiful course. If you haven't made it out here to Vermont before, you need to come out and check it out. We're here on hole 12, which is a downhill par 3, 360 feet, which mimics the downhill par 3 we saw earlier. This hole is all about distance control. Paul Ulibarri will be first on the tee with his M2. Ulibarri's line looks great out of his hand. He's asking for it to get down. Gorgeous drive that settles 15 feet from the basket. Ricky Wysocki's got his harp in his hand. Ricky's harp is inside left of Paul's line, fading toward the basket, but maybe slightly left. Also within 15 or 20 feet, a couple of great tee shots by our first two competitors. Here's Big Germ with an M4 turnover. And Jeremy's M4 is getting a late turn. Wow, what a beautiful shot. Oh my goodness. He's come to rest 25 or 30 feet from the basket. And Nico with the same rock that he used on the other downhill par 3 that finishes to the left. He's asking for a skip. Looks like he's gotten a bit of a skip to about the same distance as Big Germ, 25 or 30 feet. If you are new to disc golf or new to the Disc Golf Pro Tour, I would encourage you, if you've got a tournament coming up in your area, if you've been watching on video before, it's cool to watch on video and you can see the shots that these guys are throwing. They're really incredible, but you don't understand how good they are until you watch them in person. I'm a disc golfer myself. I've played a lot of tournaments over the past few years and have been sidelined for a knee injury for the past couple of years. But I've still been able to play quite a bit and play with some of these guys, and I'm going to tell you that it is unbelievable to see how well they throw in person and the lines that they throw. A good example for me is Big Germ's M4 turnover that he just threw. I mean, it is a disc flight I think is one of the most aesthetically pleasing things to see in sports, as it has a dynamic flight. It's not just one arc. It can change different angles, and these players are utilizing all of those angles to make these holes shape to their benefit. And we had a great group of tee shots by our featured card here today. Nico Castro's drive actually settled just outside of the circle. He's going to be lining up a 36-foot birdie putt. But he's going to stand down, as Big Germ is going to be just outside of that, maybe 37 or 38 feet. He's got a couple of trees between his lie and the basket, and then one tree very close to the basket with some low-hanging limbs. So looks as if he'll have to throw a low-line putt at this basket. And Jeremy's putt is wide right, as he was impeded by those branches. If you are enjoying the stream today, make sure to like and share this post on Facebook, on YouTube. Share this on Twitter. Make sure that we can get more eyes on the sport of disc golf so that we can continue to grow the sport. Here's Paul Ulibarri from just outside the circle, lining up a step putt. And Paul Ulibarri has to be one of, if not the best step putter in the world. Just outside the circle, he is, you can almost always just count it. Great putt for birdie 2 by Paul Ulibarri. Nico's putt from 36 is just high. He lets out a bit of frustration as that putt looked good all the way to the basket until it just hit the top knob. Ricky Weissaki is going to stand down for a moment as Big Germ has landed just outside of Ricky's drive, maybe 12 feet from the basket. Big Germ's par putt is up and in. And And from 10 feet, Ricky Wysocki is in for his birdie 2. We're going to move over to hole 13 now. After a word from our sponsors, thanks for joining us out here at Discraft's Green Mountain Championship.
Thank you for watching the Disc Golf Pro Tour, brought to you by Blue Orange Games, hot games for a cool planet, and by Vibram Disc Golf, tested where it matters, and by Goal Zero, share the sun, power to the people.
The McBth's M-Link system takes basket performance to a new level, allowing for more outer chains without the excess weight. Outfitted with the new Trapper Basket 2 technology, the McBth has a 10-inch deep tray with additional support railing, eliminating bounce outs.
And welcome back. We are here waiting on the tee of hole number 2 at Brewster Ridge Disc Golf Course. We're still following the card of Nate Doss, Paul McBeth, James Conrad, and James Cole. This is going to be their final hole. They started on hole 3. And traditional good sportsmanship handshakes as they prepare to tackle what is not an easy feat for our last hole, this uphill par 4 that we saw a lot of cards struggle on earlier today. Coming off a pair of birdies for both James Cole and Paul McBeth. Dawson Conrad parred hole 1. So it should be Paul McBeth on the box first. I was talking to Steve Dodge moments ago, and if you guys are following along the stats on UDisc, a very interesting scenario has popped up. Michael Johansson, who is currently in solo possession of second place, is ahead of Paul Ulibarri. If that is to hold until the end of this round, Paul Ulibarri will miss the top 8 and miss the bye into the quarterfinals, and he will have to play for a spot. Who will that bump up? Alex Geisinger, who has struggled at this weekend so far, will get a pass and a bye into the top 8 if Johansson can place ahead of Ulibarri. So be sure to watch that. Very important. You see Michael Joe shooting lights out right now on the chase card. We should be ready in just a couple more moments. As a reminder, this is not all the action that's going to take place here on Saturday. Once we finish this, we're going to give the players a break, and then players who are ranked 9th or outside of 8th plus ties through 48th will play for a spot in the quarterfinals this afternoon over at Fox Run Meadows. Now that is actually a completely separate event from Discraft's Green Mountain Championships. So they will award the prizes for this event, payouts, everything like that, and then we will start across the way at Fox Run Meadows to play off for the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships in its inaugural season. But for now, let's finish up the last hole. Here's Paul McBeth on hole 2. And he hyzer flipped it up very nicely. He asked for it to get right. And a nice little pop skip off a root or something like that. Got right just enough that he's in the gap. And there's Snappy Cole following suit, getting way up the fairway off the tee. An excellent drive. He leaned into that disc, but just a little bit too overstable, fades off to the left. And Nate's turned that over just a little bit early. Looks like he slipped into the slimmer fairway between the tree line and the rock wall. It'll make for a little bit more of a difficult shot, but far from an impossible one. And I know both Paul and Nate, who are making moves into the top 5, attempting to stay there. It'd be very useful to grab a birdie. All 4 of these players are getting a fairway hit stat. And once again, all of our live statistics are brought to you by UDisc. Make sure you're checking them out, udisclive.com, or download the UDisc app. We have to thank all of our spotters, all of our live scorekeepers, all the volunteers out here this weekend who have really made this event special. We couldn't have done without them, and we thank them so much for their time and efforts. And if you want front row seats to watch some of the best in the world, and you can't play in the tournament, the best thing to do is spot. And here's Nate looking at a forehand shot here. Looks like he's opted to use the same disc that he did off of the tee. Changing his mind, a little disc change. And And Doss has kicked an early tree, but he does look to be inside the rock wall, so he will stay inbounds. It'll be a tough run for birdie here. Should be James Conrad next to throw. And he has a decision to make here. This is a bit of a tough gap. Looks to be lining up a roller. Although from our vantage point, he's going to need a little bit of luck to reach the pin from his lie. And if you're just tuning in, about this distance up the fairway, but slightly to the right, is where Wysocki threw the eagle in earlier. Here's Conrad with the forehand roller, and that is not a bad result from that lie. He will have a long look at 3. And there was no hesitation from Paul McBeth. He walked up, knew what he wanted to do, and executed immediately. Seemed like that pink rock 3 that was giving him trouble in the early rounds. He's figured it back out, made friends with it again. And he's nestled up right near the pin. And after a massive drive from Snappy Cole on this hole, he was a good 40 feet up the fairway from Paul McBeth. And probably close to 70, 80 feet ahead of where Nate Dawson's disc landed. He's put it a little past pin high on the left side. Slight downhill putt. And the good news for Nate Dawes as he surveys his lie, he is clean in the window. He has a pretty safe run, not too much danger in this. Beautiful line, but just a little bit short on the uphill attempt for birdie for Nate. And here's James Conrad from probably 42, 44 feet here. Good bid, good power. Just a little bit left out of his hand. Needed a little more ante on that to make that one stick in. And all that's left is for Snappy and Paul to put an exclamation point on their tournament. Routine putt there for 3. It's always nice to play this hole once you've warmed up a little bit and thrown a few of the holes, gotten into rhythm on the course. Though it is one of the harder holes on this course, is one of the benefits to playing it last. And that's Paul McBeth in for 3. Dawson Conrad will take pars there. And like we said, that's an exclamation point on the rounds for Cole and McBeth. And we're going to send it back over to Robert McCall, who's with our 2-camera coverage over on the lead card. And we've just seen a couple really fantastic rounds thrown by some people trying to make a run at the top spots. Robert, how's the lead card holding up?
Jamie, we're doing pretty good over here. We're here on hole 13. Par 4 dogleg right. Paul Ulibarri is lining up. Forehand upshot after a great forehand drive that just got an unfortunate straight skip where he needed to go right. Ricky Wysocki and Nico Castro have already thrown their approaches toward the basket. And Big Germ absolutely pured a forehand down the fairway. Well around the corner. And Uli punches through some leaves and gets a roll to the mouth of the gap. Looks like he'll be about 70 feet from the basket. And we've still got a decent bit of walking to Big Germ's drive as he just threw a fantastic forehand down this fairway. Oh wow, Nico's actually going to throw before Jeremy. This will be Nico's third shot. Nico's approach is just right of the basket. Settles about 8 feet past. Good shot by Nico to save his par 4. This hole is over 500 feet, and Big Germ has less than 100 feet left to the basket. Maybe 110 feet to the basket. He threw a beautiful forehand drive off of this tee. He's going to have to take a knee to throw a turnover forehand approach shot. Big Germ approach looks great. Oh, and it just hits the front of the cage. What a fantastic shot by Big Germ. Well played, sir. That's making quick work of this this par 4. This will be Paul Ulibarri from approximately 70 feet. And Paul's putt is wide right the whole way. He settles 8 feet behind the basket, where he'll be dropping in a par 4. And I believe Ricky threw felon on his 2 drives, leaving himself 42 feet for his birdie 3. Ricky catches a couple leaves out of his hand and hits just high on the basket. He'll have to settle for 4 here on hole 13. Ulibarri's in for 4. Nico is in for 4. Ricky will take 4, and after nearly throwing in for an eagle 2, Big Germ is in for his birdie 3. We're moving over to hole 14 here at Discraft's Green Mountain Championship.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here on hole 2, where one of the cards has just finished up, a powerhouse bunch of scores. I'm here with James Conrad and James Snappy Cole. We're going to talk to James Conrad first, all the way in from Virginia. Tell us a little bit about the trek to get here and how you feel about your tournament overall.
Well, I came from, last week I was in Pennsylvania, so it wasn't too long of a trip up here. I've been on the road most of the summer, mostly following the Pro Tour, and it's been a blast for sure. I've been playing pretty solid golf, really consistent. Haven't had too many bad rounds, had some really killer ones, and this tournament was kind of the same, pretty steady, and avoided the bogeys for the most part. Got some birdies.
Absolutely, and you're one of the names that we've really gotten to know over the Pro Tour season, popping up again and again, if not on the lead card, really close to it. How have you managed to play so consistently throughout this season?
I think it's really come down to just putting myself out there, giving myself time to learn the courses, to warm up, to really just devote all my time and energy towards disc golf has really stepped up my game this year.
And it's going to be a new format going forward this afternoon. We're going to have some buys for some players and some players playing in. What do you think about this new format and competing for the $10,000 grand prize?
I think it's a really cool format. I'm excited to see how it plays out. I think I should have played well enough today where I get the buys, so I should be in the final 16 tomorrow morning, and I'm very excited about that.
Well, congratulations. Rest up and go get them on Sunday. We're going to talk to Snappy Cole over here, and new to me. We just met. Tell us, for anybody that doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and what your game is known for.
I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've been playing Open since 2009. It's really my first trek out on tour. Been out for almost a month and a half now, and really trying to follow the Pro Tour. Skipped the first couple, but there's enough money in it to where you can actually make a little bit of money, and playing good, and like James said, just spending all the week out here and learning the courses really helps, and it's nice to be going from one event to the next.
And what was the key for you out here in this round to hang with the heavy power hitters? I mean, you're playing with 7 world titles on the card with you, and you're keeping pace with them step for step. How'd you do it?
It's hard, definitely, when they throw a great shot to not try and match them. You just do what you can do with your own game, make your shots work for you, and don't try to fall into the trap of the perfect shot on the hole,
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite hole out here, or do you prefer Brewster Ridge or Fox Run? 2 very different courses in their own right.
They're very different. This one is good. It's nice, tight wood lines, and if you throw straight, you're going to score. And then the other course, you just got to keep it in bounds.
Excellent. Well, for Snappy Cole, James Conrad, and Jamie Thomas, we're going to send it back to Robert McCall in the lead card. We'll get an interview with Nate Dawes and Paul McBeth coming up shortly.
Ricky Wysocki's bid from 38 feet is high. Hits the top of the basket, settles down. He was going to have to settle for a par. Nico's putt from 29 feet is low. Nico had a really unfortunate roll as his disc looked to be headed straight for the basket and got a unfortunate roll maybe 12 feet to the right that left him at 29. Here's Paul Ulibarri from 23 feet. And right side and in. Good putt for Paul Ulibarri as he cards a birdie 2 here on hole 14. After a long look at birdie 2, this is Jeremy Koling to clean up his par. He's up and in. Our other competitors tap in for their par 3s. Nico's taking a moment to collect himself as his putt was low. But Nico taps in for his par 3. We're going to send it back over to Jamie Thomas as he's got a couple of our top competitors, and we're going to hear their thoughts on the day. Jamie, what do you got for us?
Well, Robert, I'm standing here with Nate Doss and Paul McBeth. Again, coming off of a card which shot amazingly far under par considering the conditions in the early morning rounds, and especially for Nate, who released a collaboration brew last night, was busy working and selling some of that beer. So what did it take this morning to get up and get out here early and put that round down?
Man, I don't know. I felt pretty good this morning. The sun was shining and it was clear, so it really wasn't too difficult. We had a great time last night. The Fall Fest was amazing. The music, the food, the beer was awesome. So it was really not too difficult, especially coming out, and playing such a beautiful course like Brewster. It was pretty easy, actually.
And you've gotten a chance to play with your other two card mates, James Conrad and Snappy Cole, for a bunch of the rounds this weekend. Tell us a little bit about their game and how it was being on the card with them.
Well, I played a lot with Conrad this summer, actually, and I did play a little bit with Snappy at the Ledgestone too. So, they're both really, you can just tell these are guys that are fresh out on tour. They're both really excited. They keep everything very positive. So they're both great to play with, and they both really have a big arm. Actually, you get them out on an open course. These guys can really rip. So, they're both just really solid players that I think, as they continue to develop their games, they're going to probably be moving up.
And we saw when the cameras got to you guys on your card, we saw you with a little bit of frustration on some of the holes on the back nine here. You're throwing a really good score. Tell us what that's about. Is that just close to a legendary round, or what is it?
I'm really frustrated with my performance at this tournament. I've missed, probably close to 12 or 13 putts inside the circle. I wouldn't be standing here had I made even half of those. So, it's really frustrating when that happens. I've been, my game's been great all season long. So for my putting to sort of leave me in this event is really frustrating. But, I'm trying to leave it behind me now and move on to the Pro Tour Finals, which, I can't be missing putts in that. It's just one round. It's against 4 guys in your group, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. Being that it's the first time and it's a really new format, I think the fans and spectators are going to be in for a treat.
Absolutely. And I'll give you the same question we gave Snappy. Do you have a favorite hole out here? I know we had talked about how beautiful this venue is. Does any one hole really stand out to you?
Man, I think one of the more pretty holes is what I call it the apple tree hole. I think it's hole 10. It's the first hole, it's downhill. The basket is just always so lit perfectly, and there's just some beautiful, apple trees down there. That's probably one of my favorite holes on this course. But really, it's a combination of, an open course, a wooded course. This is a really phenomenal, complex of courses, and, just congratulations to Smugs and Jeff Spring and his whole crew. It's our 4th year coming up here, and we've been really treated great ever since we started coming.
Feels like home to you now. Congratulations, Nate Doss, always a classy guy. Good luck in the finals. We're going to talk to Paul McBeth here, still currently the highest rated player in the world. Take me back to yesterday. We saw you struggle a little bit on that par 5, and I think you really had to put it in gear in the second half of your round. And today, take us through that.
Yeah, yesterday it was just a really rough start. My upshots were, failing me, especially on those first 9 holes. You kind of have to have your mids and putters working because there's a few par 4s and the par 3s are just little tunnel shots. So I felt like the par 5 was somewhere where I could have made up a stroke or two, and I just let the drivers loose, and they went all over the place. So the front 9 was rough, really rough. I think I was over par for the front 9, but back 9, I was able to put it, a little bit more into gear and have a few birdies minus one little hiccup, I think, on 17 or something like that.
And then you came out today, led your card, 11 down round, matching the best round we've seen recorded so far this tournament. What was the key to today's success?
I controlled the drivers really well. In the mids, I think there was only 2 holes where I wasn't inside 45 feet, putting for birdie. So in the circle, I made every putt, but, outside I was kind of hit or miss. So I think it could have been a lot better, but that's still some things I can work on. Definitely leading, into tomorrow.
And so you're going to have a bye going in, so you're done playing for the day. Did that take some of the pressure off today's round, knowing that you were going to be playing, tomorrow regardless?
I guess for the Tour Championship, yeah, that took pressure off. But I'm ready for another round. It's still early.
Absolutely, and you've been sort of the epicenter of a big movement in disc golf, and not to delve too much into the drama, but when you decided to play, how easy was it to kind of switch that gear and just get ready to go this weekend?
I mean, I was coming up regardless because I told Nate and Eagle, they could stay with me or stay in the trailer, and I was going to be up here whether I was caddying or playing. I was going to be prepared. So it wasn't necessarily a change of mindset. I was going to be ready to go regardless, and things unfolded a lot quicker than I expected. And it seems like it's for the better. It seems like there's better communication going between the tour and PDJ. So we'll see what pans out. But like I said, I was ready to play whether or not I was playing.
Paul McBeth, always prepared to play events, and he's going to have a bye going into tomorrow, so go rest up, buddy. Good luck, and we're going to throw it back to Robert McCall on the lead card as Ricky Wysocki and crew finish up their round at Brewster Ridge.
Welcome back here to the lead card coverage as Jeremy Koling very nearly slips and falls before tapping in for par, and Ricky Weissaki is in for par as well. We've got an extremely short walk to our next hole, so we'll have a brief word from our sponsors, and then we'll join back with our lead card here at Discraft's Green Mountain Championship.
Thank you for watching the Disc Golf Pro Tour, brought to you by Daredevil Discs. Unleash the animal in you. And by Keen. Follow your feet. And by Infinite Discs. Disc golf reviews, best prices, and fast shipping.
Welcome back here to the Brewster Ridge course. We are on hole 16, which is a downhill 400-foot par 3. Players are looking to throw a downhill, either a sweeping forehand or a slow turnover. We're waiting for the last of our female competitors to clear off the hole, so our lead card competitors are going to stand down for just a moment. First to tee will be Paul Ulibarri, who's lining up a forehand. Paul shot is high out of his hand and probably right of the basket. He gets a bit of applause, but I think he's going to be outside the circle on the right side. Here's Jeremy Koling. Jeremy's opted for a D1, and it looks perfect out of his hand. Misses the first set of trees and gets a great skip. Looks as if he'll have an inside the circle putt for his birdie too. Ricky's line is similar to Jeremy's, but slightly higher, and he hits exactly where he wants to. Gives himself a bit of applause, and this was the hole that Ricky birdied during our first round, one of his only 2 bogeys on the weekend. And an uncharacteristic forehand from Nikko, but it gets a nice turn back to the right and a huge flare skip. It's going to come in short of the basket, but for somebody who doesn't typically throw forehands, that was a very good result. We have seen Nikko throw some good forehands. I don't want to discredit him at all. It's just not his shot of choice necessarily. But if you are keeping up with the Disc Golf Pro Tour, I want to encourage you to head over to dgpt.com. And if you click on players and/or standings, you can get some really good information about the Pro Tour finale that's going to be coming up starting this afternoon and into Sunday. Essentially, what's going to happen today is the top 48 players on the Disc Golf Pro Tour are going to compete starting tomorrow in the quarterfinals. The top 8 players will have a bye straight into the semifinals, but the 40 players below them, so ranks 48 through 9, will compete tomorrow for 8 spots that will proceed to the semifinals on Sunday morning. With the way that he's playing right now, Paul Ulibarri is looking to push himself from either 11th or 12th in the Pro Tour standings to 7th after his great play this weekend. And so we're excited to see how Paul Ulibarri finishes up. And we're just getting word that from the women's card, Katrina Allen has a 14-stroke lead over Paige Pierce, as she is 3 under on the day, and Paige is 3 over. So Katrina's having a great round out here. Congratulations to her for putting some solid rounds together out here in Smugglers Notch. First to putt will be Paul Ulibarri. He's lining up about 42 feet. It seems like Ulibarri may have a tree impeding his line, as usually he would line up a step-through putt outside circle 1. But it looks as if he's opting for a straddle stance. And Ulibarri's putt is just off the right side cage. Looks like about half of the putter was over the inside of the cage, but not quite enough to keep it in the basket. Here'll be Nico Castro from inside Ulibarri's lie, maybe 40 feet. And he takes a few steps towards the basket. As soon as he lets it go, Nico Castro is good from 40 feet for birdie on this downhill par 3, hole 16. Big Germ is lining up from 20 feet. Pardon me, 22 feet. And his putt is in the middle for birdie 2. Paul Ulibarri will be next to putt, as he is just outside Ricky Wysocki. Oh, Ulibarri's waved him on. That's Ricky Weissaki for birdie from about 10 feet from the basket. Fantastic drive for Ricky, especially after bogeying this hole yesterday. This is a bread and butter type hole for Ricky. Ulibarri will take the lone par on hole 16. We've got 2 holes to go in Discraft's Green Mountain Championship. Stay with us after a word from our sponsors. We'll have our closing holes.
This year, we got Dodge City. Dischenko more faster around the world. Tons of fun games. The best players in the world. We need you here to complete it. We've got around the world. We've got a pro line and am line. You get up about 10 feet away. Can you fire a disc through Asia? Win some prizes. Silly pint knockdown. You get a pyramid of pint glasses. You got to knock down your opponent's pint glasses. hit the yellow one, lose points. You got a kid that likes to play with blocks? We've got blocks. We've got over 500 blocks here. You get 3 minutes to build the best castle you can, and then you get 4 shots to knock it down. Destruction's obviously the fun part. Disc-tac-toe.
Or disc-tac-toe.
Wow. Oh.
Got it.
Boom!
Who wants some?
And that's the games. Bring it on and come on down.
Hey, everybody. Take 2. Hey, everybody. I'm joined here by Sam Henderson from Massachusetts. That's right. What's your hometown, Sam?
I live in Worcester now.
Worcester. Just about a half mile away from Maple Hill.
Right. I work at Marshall Street Disc Golf right across the street from Maple Hill.
And this year you decided to play the Pro Tour.
I did. In December, I just decided to sign up for all of them. I wasn't sure how I was going to get there. I wasn't sure if I was going to do well, but it looked like a great experience to, you know, as a part of the growth of the game, and I just wanted to be part of it.
Standing here right now, 2/3 of the way through the final event, what do you think? Has it been a success?
Absolutely. I can't stop smiling. I love being out here in Vermont. I've just been so lucky to be able to travel the country and do what I love to do, throw disc golf.
So, do you know what place you're in right now, in the tour as a whole?
I know I was in about 29th before we started, which is incredible, and I'm having a great tournament right now, so hopefully you can move up a few spots.
So you've had a couple of solid rounds.
Yep.
I understand you're right around 30th, and that's a great place to be. It's going to maintain your spot at the very least. Might move you up a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
So going into the quarterfinals, at this point, you look like a lock to make it. How does that feel?
It's pretty unbelievable. I'm just trying to have a good time and put in a lot of hard work, and it's showing. Feels great.
But as a New England native, it's nice to see another New England native doing really well. Thank you very much, and best of luck in the quarters.
Yeah, thanks,
Sam.
Steve. Thanks everyone for watching, making this a great event.
Thank you.
Cool.
Back to you.
Whew.
Cool.
To the Brewster Ridge course here in Smugglers Notch, Vermont. We are out here at Discraft's Green Mountain Championship, sitting here on hole 17's tee. Hole 17 is a par 4, 530-foot hole. We've got our players are looking to throw a straight drive that slightly fades to the left at the end to set themselves up for a look at the green. Big Germ has found himself an extremely large mushroom and is taking a picture with Paul Ulibarri. The mood has been relatively light on our card today as our competitors have enjoyed themselves and enjoyed pretty good rounds for the most part. So I want to give you an update on our top 48 players as the Green Mountain Championship concludes and the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale begins this afternoon. The top 48 players will be participating in that, and we've got some big movers who have put themselves in position to jump into the top 48. I'm not sure if Eric Oakley is going to finish in the top 48 or not, but he had a great round yesterday, a mid-1050s rated round, and moved him into 42nd. This will be Big Germ on the tee. Big Germ's drive is left out of his hand. Hits a tree and looks as if it's kicked left as well. Ricky Wysocki's chosen a felon on a turnover line. It's coming just early of the trees that it needed to beat, but looks as if it's fought through. Ricky would unofficially like to thank my friends at Dynamic Discs for creating the felon for him. Nico Castro's taking a Star Destroyer on a beautiful line. Catches a late limb, but seems to have found a fairway. Last at tee will be Paul Ulibarri. He's got a D1. Ulibarri's drive is right out of his hand. Gets a kick right off of a tree. It's going to leave him in a tough spot. As this is one of the shorter and easier par 4s on the course, I would not be surprised to see Paul Ulibarri get up and down to save his par 4. But this is a hole that our elite competitors are looking to take birdie 3 on a lot of the time. In other news with our top 48 players, we want to extend a preemptive, and it may be premature, but preemptive congratulations to Curtis Manahan. He's been a great story to watch this week as he's attended each of the Disc Golf Pro Tour events and told Steve Dodge, the director of the Pro Tour, that earlier this year that his dream would be to make those top 48 players and secure himself a spot in the quarterfinals. And Curtis shot a round of 7 under out here, which moved him up in the standings. I think that's going to be enough to get him into the top 48. So I hope I'm not jinxing it when I say this, Curtis, but congratulations. We hope to see you on the coverage of the quarterfinals this afternoon. And Ulibarri's had to run about 30 feet back from the trees into the fairway just to see what his layup zone might look like here. Ulibarri's lining up his options. Looks as if he's picked his layup zone. And is just going to find a way to navigate through the trees out to the fairway. Ulibarri is so deep in the woods, he said he's just going to jump putt out.
Yeah, smart play.
He's done well. I think his disc is carried a little bit farther to the left than he'd like, but Ulibarri is very proficient with his forehand. I assume that he'll have a turnover forehand from there. And that is a good tip if you are new to disc golf and find yourself in the woods. Do as Paul Ulibarri did right there. Take your medicine and pitch back out to the fairway. Don't try to be a hero and turn what might be a par save into a double bogey. Here's Jeremy Koling from an E. Jeremy's opted for the forehand roller. He's executed extremely well to get back out to the fairway. He should have a nice look at the basket for his up and down for his par 4. And before the round, I asked Paul Ulibarri about the discs in his bag. And the one that he's holding right now, he said, I hope I don't have to throw this one today. Because if I threw this one today, that means that I was in trouble. I guess trouble is what he's found himself in, because this is an F5 for Paul Ulibarri. Looks like he'll be throwing a forehand, either roller or long turnover. It is a forehand roller, but continues right into the woods. Didn't quite get the angle that it needed to. So Ulibarri is going to be more than 100 feet away from the basket for his par 4. Most likely be carding a bogey 5 here. And after a fortuitous fight and kick through the trees, Ricky Weissaki stands about 180 feet from the basket with his heart for his approach shot. It's fading nicely into the basket. Gets a little skip. That's going to be extremely close to the basket for Ricky to tap in. A nice birdie. We've said it before that often when Ricky has a harp in his hand, you can expect a good shot to come out. He had a few miscues earlier in the round, but looks like he's found his form with that disc again. Jeremy Koling from 30 feet closer to the basket than Ricky Wysocki is taking a knee, stretching out to the fairway and throwing his, what looks like his M4 on a turnover. Looks a bit short out of his hand, but does skip through the trees. That's going to be within 20 feet for Big Germ. And now that a few of our competitors have thrown several shots, we are finally walking up to Nico's drive that he just blasted up the fairway. Looks as if he's finished in the left side trees, but he can't be more than 90 feet from the basket. So if he's got any sort of lane, he's got a very short upshot to get his birdie 3. Nico does have an obstructed line. He's crouched down and looking for some options. For a moment, we were unsure if it was going to be Nico Castro or Paul Ulibarri who was out. It looks like Nico's going to go ahead and throw. Nico asks for a skip and catches one of the last trees in between his line and the basket. He'll be inside the circle's edge for his birdie 3. Uli punches out from the trees to approximately 25 feet. Looks like Nico will be first to putt as his upshot landed about 2 feet inside the circle. So this will be Nico Castro for birdie from 30 feet. And Nico's extremely frustrated with the turnout of that putt. It looked good and just caught one of the S hooks at the top of the basket and spit back out. Ulibarri's putt for bogey 5 is in. After a tough kick off of his drive, Ulibarri throws a few good shots to save bogey. There's Jeremy Koling for birdie, and he is directly in the center. Ricky Wysocki has a drop in for his birdie. Pardon me, I need to correct myself. That's Big Germ for par instead of birdie. And Nico drops in his par after a fantastic drive and just an unfortunate lie. We're moving over to the final hole of Discraft's Green Mountain Championship. Stay with us after a word from our sponsors. Ricky Weissaki has navigated the fairway very well with the same felon he threw on the last tee. Big Germ goes with a forehand roller. Looks to be cutting back to the right. Oh, and catches a late tree. That settles down probably around Circle 2's edge, maybe a bit outside of that. So around 66, 70 feet. Here's Nico Castro. Nico's thrown a pretty overstable disc on an Anheuser that's swinging back toward the basket. Looks as if it's settled about 15 feet away. Very good shot from Nico Castro. Last to tee will be Paul Ulibarri. Paul's opted to throw his M2. He's just missed some leaves on the way there. Looks like it's finishing left of the basket, but he's carried the distance that he needed to. Ulibarri should be inside circle 1 for his look at birdie 2 on this closing hole 18, 360 feet. If you've been keeping up with the top 8 standings on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, you might have seen that Paul Ulibarri had positioned himself to be in the top 8 after a second place standing yesterday. He currently sits in 3rd place, and so he's got to look at birdie to be tied for second here. I'm not sure if that would jump him into the top 8, but I think that it probably would. And so Ulibarri doesn't know it, but this is probably a pretty important putt for him to secure those second place points to get a bye so that he can rest this afternoon and prepare himself for Fox Run tomorrow for the semifinals and finals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. First to putt will be Big Germ. His roller has ended in an extremely unfortunate position. Even as a 6'6" guy, he's going to have to straddle out about as far as he can and throw an Anheuser putt to beat the trees that are between his lie and the basket. Oh, and it flashes in front of the basket, but ends up just short. Big Germ will settle for par here. Ricky Weissaki is just inside the circle, about 30 feet, but he could, I think, 6-putt and still win this tournament. He's played exceptionally well this weekend, but this is Ricky Weissaki for birdie. Ricky's putt is low and off the cage, but as I said, ultimately that's not going to matter at all. He's got several shots in front. I have to assume that Ricky was just being a bit dramatic and, instead of just laying up, he gave it a little run, but now he gets to drop in and wave to the crowd and, high drama for Ricky Weissaki here. Paul Ulibarri from 25 feet. And his putt is low out of his hand and hits the bottom of the cage. Looks as if Ulibarri is going to finish in 3rd place. And Nikko drops in from 8 feet to conclude his Discraft Green Mountain Championship. Big Germ is in for par. Paul Ulibarri is in for par, and your 2016 Discrafts Green Mountain Championship winner, Ricky Weissaki. Ricky has had a fantastic year, has thrown in some unbelievable putts all over the country, and this weekend is basically a microcosm of how Ricky Wysoki's year has gone. We're going to go to a brief word from our sponsors while our players add up our cards, and then we'll be back with an interview with our tournament champion, Ricky Weissaki, in just a moment. Thank you for tuning in with us. You are watching Live Disc Golf on Smashbox TV.
The McBth's M-Link system takes basket performance to a new level, allowing for more outer chains without the excess weight. Outfitted with the new Trapper Basket 2 technology, the McBth has a 10-inch deep tray with additional support railing, eliminating bounce outs.
We're back here at Discraft's Green Mountain Championships. I'm Robert McCall, and I'm standing with the person that makes me feel shorter than normal, Ricky Weissaki. Ricky is our 2016 champion here, and I feel like we've said that a lot this year, Ricky. How is this tournament different than any of the other tournaments we've played this year?
Well, it's great just capping off this Pro Tour series at this great venue. So it's, it means a lot to really win the final event. I've won a few other ones, but here at the finals, it's a great venue, and I'm really glad to get my fourth straight victory here at the Green Mountain Championships.
That's right, 4-peat out here. So tell us a little bit about this place. This is pretty beautiful.
Yeah, it's like I've said before, it's one of the if not the prettiest stops on tour, and it's so deserving of the finals. It blows out most other venues, and I'm just looking forward to the future and what the Pro Tour and the Green Mountain Championships can achieve together.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, so Ricky, this afternoon, the top 48 competitors, save the top 8, are going to be competing back over on the Fox Run course for their spot in the semifinals. You won't be competing this afternoon, as Ricky stands in first in tour points, so he's going to get the afternoon off. Ricky, can we see you out spectating, walking this afternoon, or are you going to have a different activity in mind?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go out and support the first ever, tour finals. It's really cool to see the points and the way everything turns out. I was lucky enough to not have to pay attention to it this year, but but it's it's really cool to just see all the the different scenarios. It just makes it interesting for not just the viewer but the players as well. Everyone's talking about it. Wants to get in that top 8, and not just the top 8. If you're outside looking in, you have a chance if you can have a good solid round. So it really just makes for cool scenarios, and I'm just happy with the new change. I think it's unique, and everyone is enjoying it.
That's right. And for Ricky Weissaki this year in 2016, the old quote holds true: winning takes care of everything. So you will see Ricky probably with some flip-flops on, maybe some shorts, just walking around and enjoying disc golf action instead of taking it himself. We hope that you will join us this afternoon as our top 48 competitors save the top 8, compete for their spot in the semifinals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale. For myself, Robert McCall, for our champion Ricky Weissaki, Jamie Thomas, for Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, for Gary O, Johnny V back in the studio, and for Rick Huchain as well. We are signing off. Join us back this afternoon as we have the quarterfinals of the Disc Golf Pro Tour.